Can you imagine leaving your child with family, trusting them implicitly, only to get a call 2 hours later that screams pure, unadulterated horror? Mommy said it's a little prank, but he isn't waking up? Those words changed everything, plunging our lives into a nightmare, all thanks to my sister-in-law. What would you do if your own family tried to harm your child? I'm 32F, and for 6 years, my husband Jay, 33M, and I have built a life together with our amazing 4-year-old son, Egon. Yes, we're Game of Thrones fans, don't judge. You'd think after all this time, I'd be fully integrated into Jay's family. And honestly, with his parents, things are mostly okay now. In the beginning, his mom wasn't thrilled about me. Different cultures, different beliefs. She thought I was pulling Jay away from his faith, which was just ridiculous. He made those decisions long before me. But after Egon was born, something shifted. We actually started talking, understanding each other. His dad, bless him, has always been pretty chill, just respects me and stays out of the drama. They both adore Egon, and that warms my heart, seeing how happy Jay is when they all connect. So, yeah, it's not perfect, but it's good. Mostly. The real problem? Jay's sister. My sister-in-law, Joanna. She's 40, and she has a 5-year-old daughter named Rachel. 2 years ago, Joanna's husband left her.
Why?
She was caught having an affair with his best friend. It was an absolute mess. He fought tooth and nail for Rachel's custody and now only gets her on weekends. While Jay and I absolutely did not condone what Joanna did, we felt like family had to stick together. So, I offered to help. I told Joanna I'd keep Rachel while she sorted out her life. Honestly, it wasn't a huge deal for me. Egon was around the same age, and I figure having a cousin to play with would be great for both of them. So, for about a month, Joanna would drop Rachel off in the mornings, go deal with her court stuff, look for jobs, apartments, and then pick her up. It worked. Egon and Rachel became inseparable. But here's where Joanna showed her true colors. When Rachel went back to living with her full-time, she was really upset. She missed Egon. And Joanna, being Joanna, took it as a personal insult. She actually started believing Rachel preferred me over her, which was just insane. Rachel was a little kid. She just wanted to play with her cousin. I told Joanna, repeatedly, that if we could just arrange playdates, everything would be fine. But her emotions were all over the place, even though she was the one who cheated. Things got incredibly sour between us. She accused me of trying to steal her daughter. That's when Jay stepped in. He told her she should be thankful for our help, given the situation, instead of pulling an attitude. After that, she practically went low contact with us. It hurt, especially because the kids were suffering. What Joanna didn't know was that Noel, her ex-husband, would bring Rachel to our place on weekends, just so the cousins could see each other. He swore Rachel to secrecy. She was only 3, so we knew it was a ticking time bomb before she spilled the beans, but we thought it was worth the risk. And eventually she did. When the big reveal happened, oh boy, there was so much drama. Jay's parents had to intervene, basically telling Joanna to stop being so thick-headed and think about her daughter. It took a lot of convincing, but she finally agreed to let Egon and Rachel play together. The kids adore each other, truly. They're like siblings. They're so close in age, it's a delight to watch them. Jay and I had decided on one child, and I always thought it was sad not to have a sibling. Now it's like we have the best of both worlds. They took turns at each other's houses, or they'd all be at Jay's parents' place. Things seemed okay. And I, naively, never once suspected that Joanna was still harboring such deep resentment against me. Had I ever known, I would have put Egon's safety first. Now, I can't help but feel like I failed as a mother. For the past 2 years, things had been mostly fine with Joanna. The kids got along, and that was all that mattered to me. But all of that changed just yesterday. Jay's been out of town for work for a week, so it's just me and Egon at home. Even his parents are on vacation. 2 days ago, I started feeling really sick, a fever, nausea. Nothing serious, but I was so weak. I called a friend. She helped me out. Yesterday was Rachel's turn to come over, but I barely had the energy for one kid, let alone 2. So I called Joanna, explained I was sick, and asked her to cancel. And that's when she did something completely out of character. She kindly offered to take Egon for the day so I could rest. I was so profusely thankful. Egon would get his day out with Rachel, and I would get some much-needed sleep. We made a plan. She'd pick Egon up, take both kids to the adventure park, and then they'd have a sleepover at her place. They'd be exhausted. I'd get a full day to myself. I was incredibly grateful. She'd rarely shown me this kind of kindness. I never, ever guessed something was amiss. I actually thought she genuinely felt sorry for me and my sickness. Yesterday, around noon, she came and picked up Egon. I asked her to keep me updated, and she just waved me off, saying not to worry, he'd be fine. The minute they walked out the door, I crashed. I was still feverish, I needed sleep. Plus, Egon was safe. With his aunt. What could possibly go wrong? No stress, no anxiety. I just fell asleep. I don't know when I fell asleep, but at 2:15 p.m., my phone rang. It was Joanna's number. The call woke me up, and when I looked at my phone, I saw I'd slept through one earlier. I answered, and all I could hear was someone sobbing hysterically. My heart dropped into my stomach. It was Rachel. And what she said, those words, they'll haunt me forever. Mommy said it's a little prank, but he isn't waking up. He has hives all across his body and face, and his eyes are swollen.
My world stopped. Egon.
My baby. Not waking up. Hives.
Swollen.
I don't remember much after that, just a blur of frantic action. I called 911 screaming. I grabbed my keys. Rushing to the hospital, I was fuming. I wanted to find Joanna and slap the living crap out of her. But I knew getting Egon to the hospital was my priority. She could be dealt with later. At the ER, the doctors asked about allergies. I immediately told them about Egon's severe nut allergy. Everyone knew. Asked if he'd eaten anything containing nuts. I told them he wasn't with me, he was with Joanna. When Joanna finally showed up, she outright denied he'd eaten anything with nuts. The doctor looked at us strangely, said he'd keep Egon under observation. This was when Rachel, my sweet Rachel, burst into tears and cried. Mommy gave him my peanut butter sandwich, even when I told her he couldn't eat it. I saw red. Pure, blinding rage. I don't even remember moving. The next thing I knew, my hand connected with Joanna's face, a loud, stinging slap. Right there, in the hospital, in front of everyone. She tried to lunge back at me, but the nurses were on her in a flash, restraining her. The doctor rushed back to Egon. Joanna tried to yank Rachel away, but Rachel was sobbing uncontrollably, clutching my leg as if her life depended on it. My heart broke for that little girl. I knew, with absolute certainty, if she went back with her mother now, Joanna would tear her apart. I called Noel, Rachel's dad. I told him Rachel was safe, but he needed to come to the hospital. I needed the right parent there for Rachel. Joanna was still protesting, trying to cause a scene, but the nurses, bless them, warned her that if she kept it up, she'd be escorted out. She finally shut up. Noel arrived and Rachel, still tear-streaked, ran to him, hugging him tightly. He took one look at Joanna and me, and he knew something huge had happened. It had been hours. Egon was finally stable. The allergic reaction was under control, but the doctors stressed how dangerous it had been. He'd be kept overnight for supervision. Noel offered to drive me home, but I couldn't leave it like this. I told him we needed to talk, all of us, me, Joanna, Rachel, and him. We went to a diner. I'd managed to compose myself a little, but what Joanna told me, it made my blood boil all over again. I asked Rachel first, gently. She looked nervously at her mom, who was glaring at her. Noel stepped in, reassuring Rachel, telling her to be honest, that he'd protect her, and that she needed to do the right thing. As Noel coaxed her, Joanna started creating a ruckus, claiming we were bullying her daughter, that she wouldn't stand for it. I cut her off. Shut up, I said, my voice dangerously calm. Let her speak. Your intimidation tactics won't work anymore. It took some time, but Rachel finally told us everything. Joanna had given them money for sandwiches. Rachel bought peanut butter. Egon bought mixed fruit jam. On the way back, Egon asked for a bite of Rachel's sandwich. Rachel, knowing Egon's allergy, said no. She said he didn't make a fuss, but looked a little sad. When they got back to Joanna, who the hell leaves two tiny kids alone at an adventure park? Joanna asked Rachel why Egon was mopey. Rachel explained Egon wanted a bite of her sandwich. Joanna got mad, lectured her about sharing. Rachel tried to remind her mom that Egon couldn't eat peanut butter, but Joanna just wasn't listening. They got into a fight. Rachel resisted. Joanna, calling her own daughter a greedy little expletive, snatched the sandwich from her. Rachel said both she and Egon were crying. Egon, by now, was also crying, saying he didn't want the sandwich, he wanted to go home. But Joanna, dismissing Rachel's plea that he get sick, called it a harmless prank and literally force-fed him the sandwich. It took every ounce of my strength not to lunge across that table and strangle Joanna then and there. But not in front of Rachel. That poor girl had been through enough. When Rachel finished, she was in tears again, clinging to Noel, whispering, "Mommy scares me." All this time, Joanna was scoffing, trying to discredit Rachel. Noel asked if she had anything to say in her defense. She just sneered, saying if I chose to believe a 5-year-old over a grown woman, I needed my brain checked. I was utterly exhausted. I didn't fight her. I just told her, if you refuse to tell me your side, I'll take Rachel's as the truth and proceed accordingly. She told me I had no power. I just looked her dead in the eye and said, watch me. You might be family, but Egon comes first for Jay and me. And you have no idea what Jay will do when I tell him. That's when the panic finally set in. She started rambling, begging me not to involve Jay, saying Rachel was lying. I cut her off. You had your chance. You blew it. Now deal with Jay yourself. I walked out, leaving Noel to sort out Rachel and Joanna. I felt awful leaving Rachel, but I couldn't deal with it anymore. That child, though, I love her so much. I'm so grateful she saved Egon's life by calling me. I wish I could take her away from that woman, but she has a father who needs to step up now. On the way home, I called Jay, told him everything. He was beyond stressed. Said he was coming straight back. I told him I had it under control. Egon would be discharged tomorrow. But he was adamant. And honestly, gun to my head, I could have used the support. Egon is better now, thank God. But I know for sure, Joanna will not get away with this. She deliberately endangered my child.
She needs to pay.
I don't know how, but she will. I can never trust her with Egon again. And at this point, I'm genuinely worried for Rachel. She was so terrified of her mother. I can't imagine what happens behind closed doors. Jay came back the next day, and I hugged him so tight, I probably displaced some of his organs. Egon was discharged, tired but okay. We just let him sleep. I asked Jay if he'd spoken to Joanna. He looked at me, his eyes hard. Nothing to talk about. I'll never forgive her. If it had been a mistake, maybe. But this?
No.
I suggested we tell the whole family, cut her off. He looked at me like I was crazy. No, he said, his voice deadly serious. We need to do much more. Stop thinking of her as family. She doesn't think of Egon as such. She's dangerous. He emphasized how she knew Egon's allergy was severe. Rachel, a 5-year-old, tried to stop her, and she ignored it all. This wasn't a mistake, he said. It was pure spite and malice. God alone knows what else she could do. I knew he was right. Verbalizing it all just made it more real. I didn't want to accept how far things had spiraled, but Joanna was dangerous. We had to ensure she couldn't endanger anyone else, especially Rachel. Jay called Noel. Rachel was still shaken, refusing to go back to her mom. Jay told me, this is our chance. Call CPS. Report her. No child should be this scared of a parent. For a second, a tiny voice in my head wondered, what if Rachel was lying? What if it was an innocent mix-up, and she blamed Joanna because she was scared? But then I remembered Joanna's cruel defiance, her words.
No.
No child could lie with that kind of detail, that kind of fear. And Joanna's deliberate actions? It was just too much. We called Noel again. I asked him if Joanna had admitted anything. His voice was grim. She broke down. Told me everything. He'd secretly recorded the confession. He sent it to us. And there it was. Joanna, sobbing, admitting she did it. She didn't know why, but she did. Noelle was furious. He'd asked her why she didn't take Egon to the ER herself. Her excuse? She couldn't afford the bill. Noelle ripped into her, told her she should be thankful Rachel called me. Otherwise, Egon would have died. Her repeated, desperate, I'm sorry, on that recording stirred absolutely zero sympathy in me. I realized with a gut punch, if Rachel hadn't been so smart, so brave, Egon would be dead. I owe that kid my son's life. And I knew I had to do everything to keep her away from that woman. We called CPS. We told them everything. We emphasized our fear for Rachel's safety, that a mother capable of deliberately inducing an allergic reaction in one child and then refusing medical care due to cost couldn't be trusted with her own. The officer took notes, asked about the custody agreement. We explained it all. 2 days later, on Monday, CPS was at Joanna's place. We knew because she sent us a scathing text. I know you were behind this. I should have killed Egon when I had the chance. I blocked her immediately. Jay, though, didn't. He called her, gave her a piece of his mind, vowed he'd go to the ends of the earth to keep Rachel safe because Joanna was clearly unstable. Jay's parents were finally looped in. We played them the recording. At first, they tried to make excuses for Joanna. But after hearing her confess, hearing her hateful texts, they had nothing to say. I don't know or care what their relationship with Joanna is now. But Jay and I made it clear. We want nothing to do with her. And we desperately hoped CPS would take Rachel away. And they did. CPS removed Rachel from Joanna's care. She now lives permanently with Noelle. The custody agreement was officially changed. Joanna went ballistic. And that's when we found out the real reason for her rage. It wasn't about missing Rachel. It was because she was losing the massive child support payments. All along, she'd been using Rachel as a cash cow. Keeping Rachel permanently would actually be better for Noelle financially, not that he cared. Rachel, the poor kid, is now in therapy. She's been having nightmares ever since the Egon affair, as we call it. Egon, on his part, is doing incredibly well. He doesn't remember much. When we ask him about his day with Andy and Rachel, he just says he had a lot of fun, and the best part was the hospital ride at the end. It breaks my heart how innocent he is. I still can't fathom how someone could hold so much resentment for a child. Jay's mom has been really upset, not specifically about Egon, but about Joanna losing Rachel. I don't understand how she can still sympathize with Joanna. His dad, though, he's furious. He apologized to us for not believing us, for thinking Joanna couldn't be that crazy. It still annoys me a bit, but I know he means well. No father wants to believe his child is capable of intentionally harming his grandchild. So, I understand his hesitation. Rachel and Egon still meet regularly. We don't want Rachel to feel like she did anything wrong or could have done more. But she still blames herself. It breaks my heart to see that. She even made us these little sorry cards for Egon, Jay, and me. They're honestly some of my most prized possessions. I try to spend as much time with her as I can. Call me old-fashioned, but a child needs a maternal figure, and Rachel has never truly had that. Joanna, despite being a mother, simply lacks that innate compassionate instinct. I know some of you might come at me for saying that, but it is what it is. We're trying to normalize things for the kids, even though nothing feels normal anymore. Joanna has been trying to get in touch with Jay and me, his mom tells us. But she's blocked everywhere. His mom, though, she keeps trying to subtly act as an intermediary. Every attempt gets shot down. Jay and I are running on thin ice with her. She either gets it and stops, or we'll go no contact with her too. I can't have her talking about Joanna, trying to make us a family again after what she did. And the drama didn't end there. Just recently, Joanna tried to take Rachel from school. Thankfully, the school knew about the issues and immediately called Noelle. Rachel is safe, and she absolutely does not want to be with her mother. Noelle is now seriously considering a restraining order. It's a hot mess. Part of me wishes I could just step away from all this drama, but I know it all started because I called CPS. I believe Joanna is not a good parent. But now things are getting serious, even criminal. It's unsafe for everyone.
Who knows what she'll do next?
Noelle is trying to resolve this, but if it doesn't get resolved, a restraining order is the only option left. I hope it doesn't come to that, but if it does, I honestly believe there's no one to blame but Joanna herself. I still can't believe this happened. It's not just about a nut allergy, it's about a deliberate act of malice against a defenseless child. What do you think about Joanna's actions and the way we handled it? Have you ever had to protect your child from a malicious family member? Let me know in the comments.